Welcome to the Mountain Guides. They operate 5 mountain guiding companies in the American West. The Mountain Guides of Utah, the Mountain Guides of Red Rock, the Mountain Guides of Montana, the Mountain Guides of Colorado. Their flagship operation in Jackson Hole is based in Jackson and leading trips all over the high peaks of the Rocky Mountains. Join their custom mountain adventures led by experienced guides in the iconic destinations. For more information, log on to themountainguides.com.
Hi everyone, I'm so excited to be here. I'm feeling really inspired. I just came back from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Actually, from the summit of the Grand Teton. We own a company that takes people up to the tippy top. And one of the things that we make up there that I'm really excited to share with you is called a coconut veggie curry. It's vegan, gluten-free, full of vegetables and protein to keep you healthy and give you stamina in the mountains, but it's also a great comfort meal that you can make in your own home. So coconut veggie curry with lots of spices, ginger, garlic, and of course we're going to make my samurai bread to go with it because it's got lots of great, it has the coconut milk and the yummy vegetable broth that you can dip your bread in. I'm going to teach you how to make a really simple balsamic vinaigrette, and then for dessert, the ultimate chocolate cake with a raspberry coulis that's super easy to make also. So I can't wait to show you. I'm really excited to show you how to make samurai bread, which is a 3-generation-old secret recipe that I recently developed in January into a mix that everybody can make in their own home. On my website, Okanos Kitchen, you can order a kit which comes with 2 bags of mix, each makes 2 loaves, and your own bread pan that's handmade in Vermont, where I live. Now this recipe was made up by my grandmother who came to this country before the Second World War as a Japanese immigrant, and she loved cooking. I learned everything about food from she and my mother, and she wanted to learn about American cooking. So she watched an American baking show and decided that she wanted to learn how to make bread, which was unusual for someone from Japan because they don't eat a lot of bread in Japan. So I've been making this as a signature bread for my family and friends for over 40 years, and I'm going to show you how to do it in just a few easy steps. So the first thing is I've already poured the mix into a bowl about this size and mixed it with hot water, and it's been rising for about 50 minutes. First we're going to grease these bread pans because they're brand new, and if you don't really slather them with butter, you're going to have a problem with sticking. So I just take a big old piece of butter. You could use vegan butter if you're dairy free, and you just slather that on, and then dip your hands in a little bit of cold water because this is really sticky dough, and it also has flax and chia seed in it, so it's not just a simple old white bread. But you're going to be amazed at how unusually crispy and crunchy the crust is, and it has a really yummy soft interior. And I call it samurai bread because there was a samurai in my background somewhere. And that's also why I wear this thing on my head, which is called a hachimaki. That's what the samurai used to wear for courage and confidence, anyway, which I'll need a lot of today. Anyways, before I put samurai bread in the oven, this time of year when there's so many fresh herbs around, sometimes I like to take some fresh sage leaves and just gently kind of stick them in the dough, and it makes them pretty, and it also gives it a nice savory taste on top. So I'm just going to stick those in with my fingers, and then as it rises it'll kind of cling to the leaves. And you could do this with thyme or basil, whatever herbs you have and like. Okay, now I'm going to set it over here, and we're going to put it into a cold oven and turn it to 350 degrees for about 50 minutes to an hour. Now we're going to make Mountain High Veggie Coconut Curry, which we make for our company, Jack's Home Mountain Guides in Wyoming. And we make this for our clients, and I make it fresh in the valley, freeze it, and we vacuum seal it and take it up to our high camp at 11,000 feet. Now, of course, you don't have to eat this at 11,000 feet. You can eat it in your very own kitchen. But I developed this recipe for people that are vegan and dairy, can't eat dairy. And it's just a very nutritious meal with lots of vegetables. We've got sweet potato and cauliflower and spinach and lots of protein with tofu and the garbanzo beans and lots of yummy spices, ginger and garlic. So right now what I'm doing is sauteing the red onions until they're nice and brown. And while they're sauteing, I'm just going to prepare the rice so that it can just easily cook in the rice cooker. Now I have this little, actually I thought this was a joke when I got it in the mail. It's so little, but it actually is enough, makes enough for like 4 or 5 people. So this is going to be a short grain brown rice, and I like to use homemade stock that I just made today. So it's about a cup of stock. And I like to season it with some extra olive oil and some salt and a little bouillon cube if you want. And the great thing about a rice cooker is you just put the liquid in and turn it on, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. So I'm going to continue with my curry. So the onions are looking really nice and brown. Now I'm going to add the sweet potatoes. It's about a couple cups of chopped sweet potato, and the carrots. And I cook those first because they're the harder vegetables, and I just want them to soften up a little bit before I add everything else. Now I'm going to take this chance to add in my spices, and first I'm going to do ginger, and I've peeled this ginger, and I'm just going to scrape in a little fresh grated ginger, maybe about a tablespoon, a little bit of garlic. You don't want to overcook the ginger and the garlic because it loses its taste and the value of the spice. So ginger and garlic. And as soon as that kind of starts to smell good, then you're going to add in the spices. Now we have turmeric, coriander, cumin, cinnamon sticks. Red pepper flakes is for something later, and then this is just a little cayenne. So I'm going to throw in a cinnamon stick, about a teaspoon of cumin, tablespoon of coriander, and a tablespoon of turmeric, which is going to give it a really pretty orange color. And then just a pinch of cayenne if you don't like it too spicy. You don't need to add too much in. And when that starts to really smell, has a fragrant smell to it, you're going to add in the liquid. So we're going to add in about 2 cups of coconut milk and this homemade vegetable broth. This is about probably 4 cups. And then we're going to just let that cook until the vegetables soften up. That'll take about 10 to 15 minutes. And then after that, we're going to add in the cauliflower. I don't like to add that in too quickly because they get kind of mushy. So I'm going to wait for 5 or 10 minutes to add that in. Okay, so these sweet potatoes are starting to soften up really nicely. I usually just take a knife and see the knife goes in easily. So now I'm going to add in some cauliflower. And then I'm also going to add in these, I roasted these tomatoes and then just put them in the Cuisinart, so they're going to be a yummy add. Little tomato. Stir that up. Then I'm going to add these garbanzo beans, full of protein, which we want on those long strenuous days, whether you've been at the office all day and you really need a nice nutritious vegan meal, or if you're in the mountains and hiking for 8 hours a day and you just want something that's going to give you some energy. And finally we're going to put in some tofu, which actually the juice from this will be fine. So I'm going to put in some cubed tofu. Now at this point I'm going to take to actually taste and see how the sauce is tasting. So I'm going to take a separate spoon and just see how my seasoning is, whether it's too spicy enough or... Okay, so we definitely haven't salted it yet. So this is when I'm going to put some salt. Take a little salt and pepper. And then a really important ingredient in this particular curry is lime juice. So salt and pepper. And then I'm going to take a lime and squeeze, for this much, probably a whole lime. And that is looking pretty good. So I'm going to let the cauliflower cook for maybe just a few more minutes until it's soft. But again, if you're going to make it to freeze, you really don't want the vegetables to be overcooked because then they just get really mushy. So I like to keep them on the firm side and not overcook it before I'm freezing it. So you can eat this today, or you could put it in the freezer and have it, you know, it'd be good in 3 months if you freeze it. And then the very last thing I do is put in some fresh spinach leaves. And I'm going to just put them in just like this, but it's basically ready to eat. And I'm not going to overcook the spinach either, but the spinach will wilt pretty fast in this broth. And then it just adds that color and nutrition. And if you want more sauce, you can always add some more broth or a little more coconut milk. But this is looking pretty good as is. And again, I'm going to taste it. I kind of think I need a little bit more spice myself, so I'm going to add a tiny bit more cayenne. That's totally up to your taste. Coconut veggie curry, mountain high. Make it in your own home. Yummy. I'm going to taste it one more time. Okay, let's see. A little more salt. I think we're done. I am just going to show you how to make a simple white balsamic and red wine vinegar vinaigrette, which I love. It's easy to make, and you can always have salad dressing at home. I like this My Dijon mustard. You put about a couple teaspoons of that in, and then I add maybe a couple tablespoons of white balsamic. I really like white balsamic. It has kind of a sweet taste, but then I also like red because that gives it that little yummy vinaigrette punch. And you mix that up, and I'm going to put in some minced garlic, just a little bit, or you could do minced shallots, whatever you prefer. Put a little of that in, and then slowly just add some olive oil. You add it slowly because if you do it too fast, then it doesn't congeal and it kind of separates the oil and the vinegars. The other way you can do it that's really easy is just put it in a ball jar and shake it. But this is, you know, easy with a spoon. So keep stirring, and then eventually you can taste it. A little mustardy, so I'm gonna add some more. Add a little more vinegar because I love balsamic. Now, one thing I never do is, I'm gonna walk over here, I never dress my salad until right before I'm gonna eat it. So I have these beautiful greens that came from the farmer's market in Vermont. I have beautiful arugula and spicy mixed greens that are just so yummy. I mean, this time of year, I just eat lettuce every day because you can't get good tasting lettuce like this that's not in a plastic container, except for this time of year. So there you go. Here's a nice vinaigrette, and I'm gonna wait until just before eating. For dessert, we're going to have this beautiful chocolate cake. It's my favorite cake, my favorite chocolate cake. Why? Because it's really chocolatey. And what I like to serve on the bottom is a Raspberry Coulis, which all it is basically raspberries that you put in a blender with a little sugar and water, and you make this sauce for the bottom. Now this cake is really yummy and dense because it has buttermilk in it. But I learned yesterday that if you're dairy-free, you can use your favorite non-dairy milk, like oat milk or almond milk, and add a little lemon juice. and it'll thicken it up, and you can substitute that for buttermilk. Now the frosting is particularly decadent, and it has an expresso powder in it, so it's sort of a mocha frosting. And my favorite part of the whole process is basically pouring the icing on the finished cake. And these are just little mini cakes, but I thought it'd be fun to show you how fun it is to just basically pour this delicious chocolate frosting over your cake and totally feel like a pro, even though I'm not, at this type of baking. And then you can take the cake up and get the extra frosting. But this will set, you can put it in the fridge, and the frosting will set, and then it'll be ready to eat. And you can make your own raspberry sauce for underneath. Okay, we have made ourselves a pretty yummy looking meal. Maybe I'm going to taste the chocolate cake first, because why not? This cake is amazing, especially with the raspberry. Delicious. Now that my mouth is full of chocolate, it's going to be hard for me to eat the rest, but we have our coconut veggie curry with seasoned brown rice and samurai bread, and just a simple green salad with a balsamic vinaigrette. Bon appetit!
Welcome to the Mountain Guides. They operate 5 mountain guiding companies in the American West: the Mountain Guides of Utah, the Mountain Guides of Red Rock, the Mountain Guides of Montana, the Mountain Guides of Colorado. Their flagship operation in Jackson Hole is based in Jackson and leading trips all over the high peaks of the Rocky Mountains. Join their custom mountain adventures led by experienced guides in the iconic destinations. For more information, log on to themountainguides.com.